This is Math 6, Lesson 4-1, Divisibility in Mental Math. Divisible. When something is divisible, that means a whole number is divisible by a second whole number if the first number can be divided by the second number with a remainder of 0. For example, 12 is divisible by 3 because 12 divided by 3 equals 4. Even number, which is a whole number that ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. An odd number is a whole number that ends in 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9. If your numbers end in even numbers, your number will be even. If your number ends with an odd digit, then your numbers will be odd. We're going to look at some numbers. And we're going to think mentally, are these numbers divisible? For example, is 64 divisible by 6? Well, I know 8 times 8 is 64. I don't know anything 6 times that is 64, so I know right off the bat that no, 64 is not divisible by 6. 93 divisible by 3. Well, I know my 3 times table is pretty good, but I also know that 9 is divisible by 3, and 3 is also divisible by 3. So I know that 93 is divisible by 3. Mentally, you should be able to do this without actually having to do the math off to the side. If you have to do the math off to the side, you can, but hopefully you'll get to a point where you'll mentally be able to tell me whether or not one number is divisible by another number. The reason I am really good about being able to know whether or not a number is divisible by another number is because I know my divisibility rules. Divisibility rules are rules that help you determine whether a number is divisible by another number without actually physically having to divide it. For example, a whole number is divisible by 2 if it is even, which means if it ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. A whole number is divisible by 3 if the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. For example, in the number 93, 9 plus 3 equals 12, and 12 is divisible by 3. That's why I knew 93 was divisible by 3. A whole number is divisible by 5 if the number ends in 0 or 5. A whole number is divisible by 6 if the number is divisible by 2 and 3. For example, 12. 12 is divisible by 2 because it ends in a 2. 12 is divisible by 3 because 2 plus 1 is 3, and that's divisible by 3. A whole number is divisible by 9 if the sum of the digits is divisible by 9. Just like the rule for divisibility by 3. If you can find a number that when you add up all of the numbers, it ends up to be a multiple of 9, then you know it is also divisible by 9. And we will practice some of these in a minute. A number is divisible by 10 if the number ends in 0. Okay, so let's look at some numbers. We're going to test for divisibility by 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, or 10. The easiest way to do this is literally go down the list. I'm going to look at this. Is my number divisible by 2? Well, it ends in a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, so yes, it's divisible by 2. Is it divisible by 3? Well, 1 plus 5 plus 0 is 6. 6 is divisible by 3, so yes, my number is divisible by 3. Is my number divisible by 5? Well, yes, it ends in a 0 or 5, so it is divisible by 5. Is my number divisible by 6? Well, remember, the divisibility rule for 6 is it divisible by 2 and 3? It is divisible by 2, and it is divisible by 3, so yes, it must be divisible by 6. Is my number divisible by 9? Well, 1 plus 5 plus 0 is 6. 6 is not a multiple of 9, or is not divisible by 9, so no, this is not divisible by 9. And last but not least, is it divisible by 10? Yes, because it ends in a 0, it is divisible by 10. So, 150 is divisible by 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10. If you wanted to list those out, you could do that. 2, 3, 5, 6, and 10. And yes, there are some divisibility rules for 4 and 7 and 8, but they are fairly complicated and very rarely used, so we'll introduce those in later math classes. 1,021. Let's determine if 1,021 is divisible by all these numbers. Well, it does not end in a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, so it is not divisible by 2. Let's see, 1 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1 is 4, so it's not divisible by 3. It doesn't end in a 0 or 5, so it is not divisible by 5. It is not divisible by 2 and 3, so it is not divisible by 6. 1 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1 is not a multiple of 9, so it is not divisible by 9. And last but not least, it doesn't end in a 0 or 1, or excuse me, it doesn't end in a 0, so it is not divisible by 10. So essentially, it's not divisible by anything that we've asked if it is divisible by. So if it says test for divisibility, by those numbers, it's not divisible by any of them. Okay? It's not divisible by any of the numbers they asked us to see if it was divisible by. Excuse me. 2,112. Let's look at 2,112. Well, it is divisible by 2 because it ends in a 2. Let's see. 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2, 2, 3, 4, 6. So 6, yes, it's divisible by 3 because 3 divides into 6 evenly. Is it divisible by 5? No, because it does not end in a 0 or 5. Is it divisible by 6? Yes, because it is divisible by both 2 and 3. Is it divisible by 9? No, because 6 is not a multiple of 9. Is it divisible by 10? No, because it does not end in a 0. So it is divisible by 2, 3, and 6. And our last problem here. 1,890. Is it divisible by 2? Yes, because it is an even number. Ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8. 1 plus 8 plus 9 plus 0 is 18. 18 is divisible by 3, so yes, this number is divisible by 3. Does it end in a 0 or 5? Yes, so it is divisible by 5. Is it divisible by 2 or 3? Yes, so it is divisible by 6. Is the sum of the digits a multiple of 9? Yes, because 1 plus 8 plus 9 plus 0 is 18. 18 is divisible by 9, so this number is divisible by 9. And does it end in a 0? Yes. So this number is divisible by all of our numbers, 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, and 10. So those are the divisibility rules and how to use them for 2, 3, 5, 6, 9, and 10. So you can clearly see you do not need to do long division to divide these numbers. You don't have to take 1890 and divide it by 2, and then take 1890 and divide it by 3, and then take 1890 and divide it by 5. If you know the divisibility rules, you can tell me whether it's divisible by another number fairly quickly. Now let's do an application problem here. A baker sells muffins in boxes that contain exactly 9 muffins each. Can the baker place 576 muffins in boxes of 9 with none left over? So essentially what they're asking here is they want to know, is 506 divisible by 9, or 576? Is 576 divisible by 9? That's the essential question they're asking right here. They want to know if the 576 muffins can be put into these boxes of 9 with no muffins left over. So let's figure it out. The divisibility rule for 9 is adding the sum of the digits. 5 plus 7 plus 6. Okay. 5 plus 7 is 12. 12 plus 6 is 18. 18 is divisible by 9. So yes, okay, we can put 576 muffins in boxes of 9 with none left over. That's all you simply have to do with this particular problem. And this is divisibility and mental math.